lot of people gonna try to tell you what you should do. They gonna judge all of your moves, tell you what to pursue, try to make you feel small like you shouldn't believe. They may laugh when you tell them about your hopes and your dreams. There's no one to please, as long as you find freedom and peace. Don't let them knock you off balance, they can't see what you see. There's no one to be except yourself, watch how it spreads. Don't let somebody else's fear become a voice in your head. It's always easy talking shit from the sidelines, so let them criticize while you age like a fine wine. A fine line between genius and insanity. Let them watch while you turn fantasies to realities. Forget what people say and take a leap of faith. Can never please them all, don't try to play the games. We all got different paths, we keep on changing lanes. Can't live inside a box where every day's the same.
Just believe in yourself and know it's alright. Don't compare yourself to no one, cause you're one of a kind. And everything you'll ever need is on the inside. So baby, find your light and shine it, baby, so bright. Just shine your light so bright. Baby, just shine your light so bright.
Alright, let's do
You
this.
gotta hit the thriller pose.
Hit the pose on
You might have to
I
edit
can't-
all visuals. This is gonna turn into just audio real quick.
Oh, snap.
Oh man,
All right.
it's good to be here.
The guest of the evening is Max. What's your last name, Max?
McAdams.
Max McAdams. Introduce yourself, man.
Yeah, I'm 12 years old. I'm a male human, and I'm just, I was told that I have an interesting mind, so here I am.
Okay.
That's actually a very good point. Yeah, a very good way that I would describe it.
All right. And what would you say? How would you tell your story if somebody was to be like, what is your story? You were born, I guess, 12 years ago, but how have you developed? What do you, are you like, do you go to church? Are you religious?
Yeah,
all of that.
I go to a Catholic school,
Mhm.
and I am Christian, but I don't really, Catholic is like crazy, like all, trying to think of the word, like it's all in, like all out.
Strict?
Or yeah, strict, yeah. Very strict religion. But Catholic is more like you believe in God and you just, follow the rules.
You mean Christian?
Christian, yeah, that's what I said, right?
Catholic, like more maybe
Catholic is
symbolism
more- yeah.
and.
I don't go to
routines
church every day. Oh, I go to church every Tuesday because it's part of my school. And
Oh, really?
yeah, sometimes I used to go to church at the Point on Sunday, and that was fun because they have like concerts there and everything.
Do you believe what they tell you about God?
Yeah,
So,
I think it's a really cool story because people like these atheist people that come to me and they're like, oh yeah, like the Bible is just a really old book where this old man saves people, like it's not that deep. And then like you hear stories like the Gospel of Mark where he's literally killing thousands of people to save his people from eternal death. And he's trying to free them into heaven.
So what I've heard a lot is it's a really good story.
Yeah.
It's a good book.
right. Do you
Like,
believe the
there's a lot
stories are
going
true,
on.
or do you believe they're stories made to like
Well,
help people
so
with their behavior?
here's the thing. So Jesus or God speaks in metaphors, and he speaks to his disciples in parables throughout the Gospels. The Gospels are 4 books: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and those are
What's a parable?
a parable is like, I guess, like an exemplary story or something.
It's a story, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's teaching through stories
Yeah.
because like stories are really the only way to teach anything. For
Yeah,
real.
because nobody else is gonna like.
And they're way more entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just say that something's a fact. It's only a fact within these parameters or like
Within the
this rule
context.
set or whatever.
But like it's people who are like the Big Bang, like all that stuff. Like, how exactly do you know that happened? How do you know that happened?
They would say the same
Or,
thing
like-
to you though.
Well, yeah, but like, what if we just like do a mind meld and just combine our beliefs? and say that God created the Big Bang? What if we do that? Like, that's been on my mind for years. Just like, why don't we do that?
Yeah. No, there's actually. Have you ever heard of Stephen Colbert? Like
Stephen.
Yeah, I love it.
So he like back before I feel like he kind of sold out, but when he was still funny.
That's a good way to.
He did an interview with like the most famous atheist. His name is Lawrence Krauss. He's like a kind of he's a famous atheist basically.
Famous atheist.
Yeah. And they got to like the bottom line, so to speak, of the discussion, and Stephen Colbert. So basically, what you're saying is all of this came from nothing. And Lawrence Krauss was like, yes. And he's like, well, that pretty much sounds like religion. And everybody laughed, you know, because it is.
Yeah.
Because it's the difference at that
What's
point,
the
right?
difference?
But nothing can't come from something. So, like, people are like, there's an infinitely dense point in the universe. How did the density form?
Exactly.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
like,
Like,
atheists just believe that nothing is God. Like they don't want to admit that it's God, so
They're
they
just
call
like-
it nothing.
they're just like-
but it's
they're like-
something that created something, right?
something created the world. Actually, according to my calculations, a bunch of density formed in space, which I don't know how that's possible because there's no
Right.
air in space, and there was nothing else before.
And they
the
try to
Big
say
Bang.
it's like a random accident too. Like
Yeah, just like
even if you
boom.
even if you call it consciousness, like okay, now at that point it's like not religious
'Cause
in a sense, but
we're-
it's like now consciousness is God, or
because
nothing is God, or
I-
energy, like whatever word you want to use is that
Mhm.
thing that created everything, right?
I have like two things that one comes before the other, but they both connect, and it's really cool. So, one is that nothing is the one incomprehensible thing that nobody's ever seen or heard.
Yeah,
Or,
so
like,
basically,
felt.
I think what
Like,
you're trying
it's
to say
not
is like we just call it nothing because we don't understand it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, when something is nothing, like, I saw a YouTube short where it was like, if you pop out your eyeballs and you're like, and like, okay, bear with me.
Theoretically, right?
Yeah, theoretically, if you lost your eyeballs, it'd be basically like seeing out of your elbow. And
you have to
like,
like sense things, right?
mm,
Kind of like a blind person, basically.
yeah. So, well, I don't know where I was going with that. Never mind. So, you guys know like how you like rub your eyes and there's all those colors.
Yeah, or you
Yeah.
see like the white space.
The,
Yeah, or like,
fuzzies.
when
Yeah.
you go like that and you see your eyeball, it's weird.
Yeah.
But like people are like, oh, nothing. It's like, well, atheist people are like, oh yeah, when you die, it's just nothing. But like, nothing. They like theoretically, people would be talking about black and silent, just floating in a black silent abyss.
As the definition of nothing.
But is a
But
black silent abyss is still something?
Yeah,
It's a
so I'm saying
black
black
silence
and
abyss.
silence is still things.
Right.
So like nothing is the one incomprehensible thing.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That is dissecting it when you look at it too. But I mean,
So the
that's
thing
what's
is,
so intriguing about these.
so now that we understand what nothing is, well, it's nothing. So now that we know that nothing is nothing, we
It's a word we use for things we don't understand.
Mhm.
Yeah. put it before the Big Bang. One incomprehensible thing. One, there's nothing. It's not black. It's not silent. There's no stars floating around. It's not like space. It's nothing. Not the one undiscoverable thing that nobody's ever figured out, and nobody ever will. But it's nothing, and then it explodes, and
You could also call it nothing potential, right? It's like a
Yeah.
different word that means the same thing.
Because if it's nothing.
well, we don't know what nothing is because there could be
Yeah.
energy in nothing. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. But so once that explodes, once the Big Bang happens, like, you know, people are like, "Oh, the universe is infinite." Like, I'm not trying to diss that or anything. I'm just saying, like, people say that, like, the universe is infinite. How did the one incomprehensible thing make infinite things? Like
that's a good
that,
question.
yeah.
It's a
But
fair
God, like, what would you do if you were an all-powerful deity and you were like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm gonna make a planet with some people. I'm not saying that God was bored. He was trying to do something, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, I want to create this magical creation.
No, I'm following
Like
you.
these beautiful creatures that will create a civilization. And look where we are now. But also, once they build that civilization, it's just going to be everybody worshiping him. Life is going to be great, and there's not going to be any conflict. Or sometimes, and he knows everything that's going to plan out. And
Okay, but why do you think God is a he?
Because, well, okay, I did also see a YouTube short on this too. Choke. So there's this guy that said, some girl asked him the same question, and he had a very, very good answer, but I forgot it.
Yeah, don't worry about other people's
That's
answers.
why
Like,
it's
what do you-
short.
No, it's a very good. It was like God is like the symbol of human.
But
But it's like-
people can
it's-
make really good arguments for things
Mhm.
that aren't real or for things that aren't true.
I mean, first of all, people are like, I don't know why, but it was kind of funny. I went to Glasgow with my relatives, and we were talking about, like, I don't know how we got to this conversation. Me and my cousin Redding are sleeping.
Whose birthday it is today?
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, actually?
Yes. Shout out to Redding.
Yeah!
Happy birthday!
Oh, Under the Moon Tower, by the way. Definitely recommend that.
Sister podcast.
So everybody watch it.
It's auntie.
Listen to Under the Moon Tower.
Family first.
Absolutely. Under the moon tower. Noted. If people are going to check that out. That's how that happens.
Okay, so where was I?
Why is God a man?
Yeah, why is God a man? So, like, I was talking with Redding, and I was in one bed, he was in the other. We were just talking. I don't know how the conversation got to this, but we were discussing whether Santa was black.
Yeah.
And we were like, we were going back and forth, like, dude, have you ever seen illustrations where Santa is black? And he's like, no, but what if he is? Like, we don't know. We've never seen him before. And then he's like, and then we made up this joke called BLANTA, Black Santa, and it just kind of went on from there. kind of snowballed down.
Yeah.
How does that
saying
connect to
down.
God being a guy?
Well, because
It is what you want it to be, or what it is for
yeah,
each
it
person.
can be what you want it to be, but like,
That's a good point. That's it.
well, dude, I'm out of ideas.
All right, well, I had something in line for you.
I mean,
So
I
you're
did-
12 years
Dude,
old.
there is an answer for
listen
that. There is an answer for that, but
We can
I
come
just-
back to it. Don't worry. We'll
Mhm.
come back to it. So
Some
you're
things
12 years
don't have
old.
to be answered.
Have you always thought like this, or was there
No.
a point in time where you were like, "There's more to just what I'm being told about
yeah,
reality"?
no. I used to be a full blown like what's God?
Materialist, atheist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like all that, like, oh, everything is so happy and rainbows and awesome and like, Kamala Harris and all that. You know what I'm saying?
That's not the question.
That's
This is why
He
guys.
drew the line
This is why
connected.
It's
guys.
like
This is
scrolling
why-
Twitter, go to the comment, and just seeing that one is just
This
like,
is
look at the plug.
This is why. This is why
Slice.
my mom should not be in the room because she's gonna hold me back.
No. It's good. No, it's good. It's good to be checked. It's good to be checked.
It is.
It is.
You gotta.
Okay, so
If you can't explain yourself, then that doesn't really means your argument doesn't stand on much, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but still,
But
Focusing on
the
the
plug
topic.
was funny because
Mhm.
but to be fair,
yeah. I like making adult jokes. Adult jokes are funny. I want to watch Family Guy, but we don't have Hulu. God.
Going back to the God being male, my
That is
mom
awesome.
always, and she was a teacher in Catholic school, and I would ask those deep questions, and she would say to me, "These are just stories. How do you not know that God isn't a female?" So my
Well,
mom,
God
who
could-
was a Catholic school teacher,
I
is
got
the
the
one
answer.
that even put it
I
in
got
my
the answer.
mind that like, well, because everyone's teaching me he's male, and she would say, "How do you know?
So
There's just stories."
here.
Hold on, it could be female. And in my belief of like spirituality is nature is kind of my God, and nature is also mother nature.
So,
And if you go back to a lot of ancient religions, there's like the female presence way more so than as it evolved.
Mother Nature,
as it
Mother
evolved,
Earth.
I feel like through like power, Constantine, the evolution of religion, I feel like became more male dominated. That's just my thought about it.
Well, yeah.
But like, why can't God or the thing behind everything be of a female?
I hope this.
I said, let me.
Yeah.
I want to
Balancing
connect
act.
something that you said
Yep.
because you were talking about like you're kind of. It sounded utopia-ish, you know, because the whole reason I brought up is why do you think God's a male is because you were saying we'll all worship him and everything will be like more beautiful. We'll live on a more beautiful earth and like.
Well, no, sorry. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to say like God, like the earth is beautiful because God's a man. I didn't mean to say that.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
you were, that was why I asked that is because you when you were describing that, you were describing a world where people were worshiping God, whether they believed it was a male or female.
Yeah, but also either way, if God was a male or female, the world still kind of went south with like people like atheism and like war and all that, like up to current events.
But you even said that you were an atheist, and I think that atheism has its place because if you actually if you hold atheist beliefs, but then you actually question them and like live them out, you'll realize that like they don't match onto reality. Like, you have to lie to yourself to like make it work. You know, so like God is reality, not in like in a very literal sense. To me, reality is God. And so like the whole male female thing to me is like you were talking about to connect all the way back to the beginning, like something from nothing, right? So like I think God split us all up, and so like God is male and female, and part of the splitting is like splitting into not just that duality, but dualities within dualities. But it's all so that we have like our individual personalities and we can have fun with each other. But it is the reason I agree with you is understanding that leads to like a more beautiful society.
Yeah.
And so and all of that is rooted in recognizing God is real.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the world going south, the world did not go south because of atheists. The world probably went south because of, I don't know, hardcore religious beliefs that make them fight and hate one another and go to war. And most of like war and like killing and just a lot of hate comes from belief systems in their religions going against each other.
Yeah, so atheism is a lie, but so is a lot of fanatical religion. And really the going south is just the result of believing in lies. Yeah. Not believing in atheism specifically, but believing in any belief that doesn't map onto reality.
It's always a connector, you know, like it's masked as the atheism, but like you said, it goes back to
fundamental Christianity, like believing the literal, like the world was created in 7 days and all this hilariousness, you know?
Yeah, but I have two things. One is, so like, I'm reading this really good book called Shadows of Rome. Or no, it's the series is called Shadows of Rome. The first book is Phantom of the Colosseum. It is very good. It's about Maximus, famous dude. You know him, that guy? That's always famous throughout Greek, whatever, Roman, whatever. And it's super good. It's a really good book. It's not like, oh, this and that, like history. It's like it's like an actual, like, it's kind of like a kid's book. Like, it's actually like immersing. It makes me want to read more, which I don't, usually do. And in the book, the Roman Empire is trying to capture and torture and kill all the Christians. At the beginning of the book, a slave named Blandula, I think, Blandula, Jesus, is like massaging his master Cornelius, and he's in his chair. Yeah, he's in his chair. He's in his chair.
Sounds Roman to me.
Sounds Roman to me. We're gonna head to the back next.
Exactly.
Children's book?
That's
It's like a base children's book. You know what I'm saying? So he's massaging. She's like massaging him, and then like guard dudes, like soldiers, barge into his door and take him. And he gives Blandula, because he's Christian, they're going to kill him. And he gives Blandula like a scroll, and that's like the Gospels. That's the story of Jesus. And she takes it, and later in the book she meets Achilles, Titus, and Maximus. And I think they're all, or at least I think 2 of them are runaway Christians or something. And they meet, and I haven't read, I guess they're going to meet, but they, the girl, Blandula, met Achilles, and they became friends after he got ran over by a wagon from... He got ran over by a wagon.
What's the big point of it?
Because he was being chased by soldiers. But what do you mean, big point?
The point you're trying to make about the book. Like, what?
Yeah, so, like, also in Roman times, there was, like, I feel like how it went south is that, I mean, at least for Christianity, is because either people stopped believing in God or different religions kind of took over. And...
The state was the religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to worship the state, basically.
Oh, see, here's a good point. So, you know how Rome was, like, the greatest colony in the whole world?
Say more,
Like, they-
most powerful.
No, like, great, like, they had, like,
And they-
money.
So we're told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had
True.
like aqueducts and like public like
But as the story goes,
So did the Mayans,
Yeah.
As the
the
story
ancient
As the story
civilization,
goes.
Aztecs.
Yeah, but those
Yeah.
were like
There's a lot. There's a lot. There's a
But-
lot.
so as time goes on and things get more technologically advanced, I guess sort of religion starts to decay in society because people are like
You kind of see it too.
it's all this new crazy stuff that I guess humans are providing instead of God. In Rome they had same gender marriage, which goes against the Bible.
So why do you believe the Bible is true and not the Quran or the Torah?
Well, so here's the thing: the Bible is metaphors. It's letters. The whole
People
Bible,
can say that about the Torah or the Quran.
Mhm.
yeah. But besides the Gospels,
And did you know that, speaking of Roman history, did you know that Constantine left out like a lot of books that were supposed to be in the Bible?
I know that. That's why. Did you know that over 700 people wrote the Bible collectively?
Yeah, so there you
some
go.
of
People
it.
wrote it.
And some of it was from memory too.
Or like stories passed down.
Stories.
Basically like
Yeah,
a telephone
because-
game.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You know how accurate that becomes. Plus, stories have to be interesting, right?
Yeah.
So you want to
So you
embellish.
maybe-
You need to like make it
It's-
great. Maybe it's a
Maybe
part
it's
of the
a-
fact, or maybe
right.
let's like amp it up so people read it and like
Right.
it.
Yeah,
and
We got like a moral code to
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's
He
so
is onto something with the parables. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
There's
So-
stories that can help you understand the world better.
Mhm.
But I feel that you can make the same argument with the Quran or the Torah or
yeah.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
Hindu,
So-
Hindu
Like
texts.
Hindu
like the
text.
guidance for
The
life,
rest-
like
Well,
a higher spiritual power. In
So-
a sense.
Yeah, and on to what you were saying about things evolving over time of like less religion. I'm thinking like, okay, is that like modern times? Only because now with like the interweb and us being like so connected.
Right.
So back in the day, right? Like you don't know what's happening in other places, so you're living in your bubble.
Right.
I think if I go into the
Yeah.
cathedrals in Italy, you walk in the architecture, which was actually the Freemasons that make this space where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, and
It's
you're
got
like,
that
how
vibration
can
to
you
it.
not think that this is God? Like, this is God, right?
Yeah.
And then everyone's like
God,
all in, but the architecture is making you feel that way. The ceremonies, the sounds, the reverberation of the
vibrations
music,
of
like
God.
all
so wait,
that, right?
hold on.
Let me finish. But if you're living in a different culture, in a different place that has a completely different religion, right? That
Mhm.
you're in China, right? You're in India. You
The
have
vibes
like
aren't gonna
you
be the
like
same.
so
Different.
your religion is based off your environment
Yeah.
and like what you have, and you don't know about the other places,
Exactly.
so you're really like devout on like the thing that's right around you.
right.
Well, now in modern times, we can learn about all
Everything.
of those.
You have a
Anything you
pocket
want to learn
PC.
about. Yeah.
We have a pocket PC that allows us to immerse ourselves in any religion, even a cult if we want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
well,
So with that, I think becomes less and less devout on like this one particular thing because
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's
we
what I'm
have the
saying, that's what I'm
ability to
saying.
learn about it all and then make
Yes.
this decision
But
for
yeah,
ourselves.
more-
It's like,
more-
what do we really
Like
believe?
what you really want to do.
So-
And then you're left to ask that very question right there.
Yeah.
What do we really?
What do I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait,
the
hold on.
Toltecs say that there's truth in all of the religious traditions and that the difference is in the story. Because the story, like you said, comes from that local area. They're gonna their story. Every story is gonna include their local trees and animals and whatever,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
But all of them are using those symbols to try to get at the same essential truth. Like there's really the truth in Christianity and the truth in Buddhism and the truth in Hinduism and the truth in Islam and Judaism is all the same because the truth is just the truth, and it's just the different stories to get you to the truth.
Do you think that most of it derives for fear of death or what happens to you after you die, or because of how you live in this life right now?
Well, I heard from
God, that's a good question.
I heard from my grandparents or one of my uncles or something that if you die like happy and ready to die, you have a higher chance of going to heaven. But if you die like sad and like missing everything and you're like, I don't want to go, like that's like you go like more to hell because
So like I don't even believe
you're not
in hell.
accepting of.
So what does that mean for me? Like if I don't believe hell exists,
You're probably good.
can I go there? I mean,
Right.
because like
Yeah.
for me, it
Sounds
doesn't.
like a safe bet to me.
Right.
it don't exist.
It's like
Well,
if you don't
like-
see that tree fall in the woods, it still fall. Dude.
Yeah.
It's
like
one of those
with
deals,
with
like-
with Isaac Newton, every action is an equal and opposite reaction. So if you don't believe in hell and you believe in heaven, there's got to be another place, a worse place.
Well, I believe heaven's here on earth right now.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so I think
there could be
I think
higher
heaven and hell are mind states. Like we can be living in heaven
Oh,
or
yeah.
hell right now based on how we react to our
Your
surroundings.
surroundings and what's happening at that
Mhm.
time in your life too. It's interesting to think about it from that perspective.
Because the victim mindset is, to me, hell is the victim mindset.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Everything is
Satan,
happening
making you
to
think.
me,
Yeah,
right? Instead of
Satan.
I have the power to react to this however I want. It could be really shitty from somebody else's point of view. You know, you got your feet run over by a forklift, and still be like, yo,
and
that was
make
meant
it
to happen.
yoga.
And I'm still
An
alive,
event.
as opposed to being like,
Right.
darn me that
Yeah.
I don't have my feet.
Wow.
So wait, I
I'm
have
in a
a
wheelchair for the rest of my life. Not
Yeah.
gonna
I
even
have
try
a-
to move my feet anymore.
Yeah.
I have
Yep,
a
I'm done with
really
it.
I have a good I now have a good answer for why Jesus or God would be a man. Because
I knew it
Jesus
would come back around.
is Jesus is the God made flesh. Is God made flesh.
Okay.
So he symbolizes God. Even though Jesus talks to God like he's his father. Like he says Father and everybody says Jesus.
Man, I
or
thought
God.
I thought God was Jesus'
I know.
father.
I know.
He is.
It's
Jesus
just son
is
of
the son.
God.
No, God.
Yeah.
No, God is Jesus' father, and he speaks to him like that. But he's been placed on earth as God's son, so he's his son. But in theory,
Because
Well,
it's
not in
son, and
theory.
the son is a male.
yes, and also,
But they say son
Son is a
came from
male.
son.
Son is a male, but that would only speak to
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's what I was
Because
like.
that's a weird
yeah,
coincidence,
but
right?
also,
And the timing of death and her birth.
So the thing is that Jesus is the incarnation of God. He's God made flesh. So then he's also placed down on earth as God's son. So he's kind of like an oxymoron a little bit.
But why do you accept that as truth rather than recognizing that as just the Christian story?
Yeah. Because, well, I mean, I'd like to believe it because I feel like I don't know if this is true and I don't want to upset anybody that is Christian and nothing really, like, this isn't true for them. I feel like being Christian or Catholic leads you down a better path in life. I don't know if there are any Catholic or Christian people out there maybe listening to this or not that have that are in like a real big patch of mud right now. And I mean, I feel like it leads a better lifestyle because like people, you can't like curse if you're Christian or Catholic, and I feel like that's a better way to live your life, being more like content. Because like people like I'm with my friends, and I'm with my cousin Bobby, and he's probably listening to this right now. And also,
we learned about Bobby earlier.
So he goes, shout out to Bobby.
Shout out Bobby.
Shout out Bobby.
He goes, we're gonna find that timestamp. I'm gonna send it to him. So like, because people like atheists, they're like, it kind of makes me sad to see people like, like swearing once in a while is fine. Like if you like stub your toe.
Yeah, sometimes I like really want to fucking emphasize my point.
We had this conversation.
And as you get older, it becomes
That's what I
emphasize
but like, so atheists, they're kind of not like, oh, whatever, this happened. Like, oh no, I hurt myself. Oh crap, or whatever. I don't think crap is a bad word, so I can crappity crap it all the way home. So,
well, I remember, Max, not to interrupt you, but when you weren't religious and you would get frustrated with it, and you're like, it's all just stories. It's all just a bunch of stories or whatever. And you used to be a different.
I feel so bad.
You were a different person.
I feel so bad.
That's true though.
But what I would tell him to not offend anyone, because he has a lot of very strong faith people in his life. I would have to tell him, Max, if it's real to someone else, it's real. You need to think that to respect other people's beliefs.
So bad.
Because when you have people in your life that are extremely devout, you don't need to be going up to them and saying like, this isn't even real, it's just a bunch of stories or whatever. So I remember having to have those talks with you where I'm like, listen, if it's real to Grammy, if it's real to Granddad, then it's a real thing, okay?
To them. It doesn't have to be for me.
That's
authentic. Rawness, though. That was an authentic, untempered, that was a raw, original. That was that original feel. That was that original. And there's something interesting about that, though. I'm not saying.
So I think one of the most powerful aspects of Christianity, in contrast to the other major religions, is, to give you credit, Jesus is preaching the power of faith. The faith of a mustard seed can move a mountain.
Yes, I read about that in the Gospel.
But I don't believe that blind faith is the same thing as just genuine faith.
What is blind faith?
So you can just believing the story of Jesus without like questioning it at all, or like having any sort of like.
But here we are,
deciphering ability or critical thinking.
Just believing it as it just
believing
it because somebody else said it, rather than believing it because you feel it in your heart.
Yeah, but like exactly like what you were saying. Here I am, a Christian 12-year-old, yapping to my cousin, deciding whether Saint Nicholas is black.
But that's
okay. That's an example of what I think the real power of faith is. Because somebody could believe in like the flying spaghetti monster, and I don't think anybody really believes it. But like that is the power of faith. So if you believe that like life has no meaning, or like you don't have any self-worth, your actions and your behaviors are going to reflect what you truly believe. So you can say whatever, you can state your belief however, but actions and behavior reveal what you truly believe, because you only act on what you truly believe. And so like that's where the power of faith comes in, because like what you truly have faith in is how you behave in the world. It's like there's like a reflection there.
Well, so when I was questioning Catholicism to that same mom that was like, I'm like, well then why do you have me in this school if you don't? She's like, well, It's a good tool to teach you right from wrong.
Yes.
And I'm like, you're
That's
right.
what that's what
I
I'm
am
saying.
scared. I'm scared of purgatory more than I'm scared of hell, to be honest.
Purgatory, the infinite stairway.
And I'm like, oh, so then this is a tool that is used to make me make good decisions. But I'm also like, there's other tools we can use to make good decisions too. You know, you can still make good decisions or feel within yourself a moral right and wrong without necessarily having to fear burning in the pits of hell or flying off into the clouds.
Well, hold on.
of
Speaking
heaven.
of hell,
You know, so,
hold on.
but I got it then.
I
You know,
have-
that I'm like, oh, okay, so I don't have to take this so literal.
I have something to say about
That was
atheism.
pretty much just
Because I'm like, I don't want to sit on that stairway waiting for people to pray for me, just like watching me, like, come on.
You can do it.
You come on. I gotta get to this stair that's like, just like right there, and then another one, and another one. And I had the stairs visualized, you
Yeah.
know, and I was like
Yeah.
waiting on my own big platform with another big platform and another one, and I just had to keep waiting for people to pray for me to keep like going up that platform, and I didn't see the end of it.
Yeah,
You
nobody
know?
can. It's an
You're like, I'm
infinite
just gonna be
stairway.
waiting on that stairwell.
But here's the
Forever.
thing. I have a thing about atheism and hell. So hell in the actual Bible, it's depicted as just it's kind of like it's just black, kind of like you can't see anything, but there's fire and it's scorching hot and it's constant pain. Like you always are hurt in some way, in somewhere, and there's
Do you
like.
think this is a real place or like a mental
Well,
I was
place?
gonna say, like, nothing can
It's a
sustain
mental
it.
place because if you die, here's a thought. If you die in atheism, you're just kind of black, floating in space.
Do you know that?
No, but that's kind of like I feel like I don't know what that is, but I'm estimating that that's what atheists think. I don't know.
Yeah, I think atheists, I mean, that's a broad term. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different
But,
types
like,
of atheists.
Well, yeah, I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, if people think that it's black and all like, ooh, floating through space or
floating
whatever.
in a void in the abyss.
Yeah, but like, so it would be a while because if you still have your mental like capacity and you're floating through space, you would start to see fire and feel pain, or but based on your actions, you could see clouds and angels and buffet and like all this beautiful heavenly stuff, or
Crystalline water and shit. Like,
Yeah.
running waterfalls and all that.
Yeah. uh-huh.
Endless sunshine.
Yeah, but that could be a mental state. And also, after you die. And also, something to say about atheism. I have a friend, and my neighbor, Margot, I think she's like something has to do with LGBTQ or something. And we went skiing together one time, and we had this long talk about like on the ski lift. We had this long talk about like what atheism is, because she knows I'm Christian and I know that she's bisexual or whatever it's called. So we're going up there, and I say atheism kind of like, I gotta be so honest, atheism sounds like mean. It like sounds like an angry word, like atheism. And she agreed with me. She was like, yeah, it does. And I feel like whether you're Catholic, whether you're atheist, whether you don't have a religion, whether you don't...
You know, like a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but you know that you can be LGBT and still believe in God. It's just probably going to be a lot different than like your
Yeah.
Orthodox conception of
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're automatically an atheist if you're gay or trans.
Yeah,
or
but
whatever.
the thing is that you don't fully live up to God's word.
According to the Christian
a Christian,
and-
or certain.
and-
Well, the
Orthodox
thing is,
Christian
It's
what
true.
what the Christian rules are only apply to Christians or people in getting introduced to Christianity. But people with atheism, as I said, they can do whatever they want based on their rules of their beliefs.
Right.
Like you say that like swearing left and right, like blah 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 blah, and Christian people try not to do that because it's some rules of their religion. And same with atheism, as it's
They find some benefit to curbing their debauchery, so to speak.
yeah. But, yeah. Also,
But what you believe is what is and what will be.
yeah.
And what you believe can change.
Yes, it can.
Yeah, definitely.
The only...
You'll watch this in 10 years and be like,
Yes.
cringe.
That is
So true! The only constant is change.
The only constant is
The only constant is change.
As someone in change man.
Here, wait. I'm gonna go use the bathroom.
You do that.
That is.
Next topic is gonna be. It's gonna be like a strong topic.
What's a strong topic consist of?
Powerfulness, power
Power.
in power in atheism.
Power in atheism?
Like,
Run with it.
so, first thing I have to say, if you know what I'm about to talk about, get out of your mom's basement. I'm sorry, what? But also, I apologize. But if you know what, if you watch the show, Has Been Hotel, please,
No.
I would not like to talk to you because that show is. I love using the word rancid because it's just so.
Why? What's the
Disgusting.
point?
So it's about all these sinners that go down to hell, and hell is like where all these people go, and it's duh. So I don't know what I'm saying.
No, I want to get
It's
you
all
on track
these-
here.
it's all these.
But I know you're trying to use a metaphor, but we gotta pause here. 'Cause
Yeah,
I need to know what you think a sin is.
a sin is breaking the rules of God,
Okay, but what are the rules of God?
or trespass. Trespass is sin.
Well, what is that?
Trespass, or no, not trespass and temptation to do
But
wrong.
what is that? What are any of those in terms of like, what would you consider a sin?
I don't really know how to
What is one of the rules? What is one
breaking
of the
breaking
temptations?
one of the 10 Commandments.
Why do you believe them?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I never really questioned why I should believe the rules of God.
I mean, thou shalt not kill is one of the commandments. And
Yeah.
Christianity has fought more wars than any other religion on the
I
face of
guess it's kind of like
And
don't kill.
That's like all the games that you play, and I even just had a note you want to like join the military and you want to do all that, but then like that kind of goes against the
Well, there's
one of
probably.
the biggest commandments.
I mean, the commandments were written on
Yeah.
a stone by some ancient dude. I don't know if it was God.
You know, there's a certain faction in Christianity that says that, and these are actually Christian people that consider themselves Christian.
Mhm.
They say the 10 Commandments are mute because Jesus said the 10 Commandments are mute, and the only commandment is to love one another.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
So
They're
the
still
10
following the rules of their religion. See, like.
Okay, all right, fair. But
Well, hold on,
your religion includes the 10 Commandments?
I guess so. I mean, I'm not
Why?
really sure
Okay, no, that's good. That's good to admit that.
Because I don't know yet if I'm Christian or Catholic. I think I'll find out sooner rather than later in like the next 2 years or so.
And you might be something totally different after that. and
Yeah,
something
yeah.
Totally
Once
different
I
after that.
find out what the
Yeah.
words
You might end up being an
mean.
atheist. Watching this episode 6 years from now, like,
Every
Jesus
moment.
Christ. I was so
Look
stupid.
at me.
Yeah, it's funny to think of it like that because that's
Yeah.
exactly what's going on.
I look back at some of my old podcasts, which are only 3-4 years old, and I'm like, oof,
Yeah, cringe.
bad. Not good.
But I at least applaud you for admitting that
Yeah.
you don't know and you
That's
might not know,
very-
because that's the point
Yeah.
I'm always trying to make to you is like the smartest person has an open mind.
Yeah, and
The
Absolutely.
smartest
striving for
person
truth.
knows that
Yes.
like keep
And
questioning,
As new things are
Yes,
presented to
and
you.
learn.
Do you think truth is important?
learning, searching,
Truth.
You think truth is important?
questioning, yes.
Like not lying. What do you, like telling the truth. I guess.
Just truth as a symbol that
Yeah.
equates reality. Like,
Yes.
what is real is true, and what is not real is not true.
Yes.
So, do you think the truth is important?
Uh huh.
Okay.
But also the thing is that truth is opposite of lie.
Mm-hmm.
So that would mean, well, this is, I'm just throwing this out here. I don't believe this at all, but what if, since truth is the opposite of lies,
So how do you tell the difference between the two?
truth, well, it's not, it's kind of like,
That's the way to phrase it.
yeah,
Totally.
holy
It
cow,
makes-
dude,
it
you're
makes
good
me-
at running a podcast.
It makes me, it makes
You're
you
good at running
think.
a podcast.
Hmm?
You're, okay.
Say it.
You're good at running a podcast.
I appreciate you. So I do want to hear what you think about that. Like, how do you tell the difference between truth and lies?
Truth, I guess. So lying, the definition of lying is somebody telling somebody something, but it's not true, and the person who said it knows it's not true. That's what a lie is.
So you think intention plays a role? Because if you tell a lie, but you actually think it's the truth, you don't think that's the same as lying.
Well, no, because
That's
lying.
ignorance,
So
right?
I thought about this like a year ago, and it was really racking my brain. If you say I met Batman, and well, wait, no, that's a bad example. If you said that something about somebody else, like I heard that, I don't know, man, LeBron James just got assassinated or something like that. If somebody said that to somebody else, it wouldn't be a lie if they didn't know that was true. If they saw it on...
If they believed it was true.
if they believed it was true...
They saw it somewhere
Then
and
it-
believed
And they said it, but it wasn't actually true, you still don't consider that a lie because they didn't intend to lie.
Yeah.
So
But if you
it goes
intend
back
to
the
lie,
intention.
then that's a real lie.
It
But
goes
like,
back to that intention.
but if somebody's proven wrong, then that's a lie. Or well, I'm
Ignorance.
I'm mixing up. I'm mixing up my
When you say
words.
something you don't know any better,
Yeah.
that's just it's
But
just because
like,
you're ignorant.
if you
It's good to
see
think through those
on
things.
like Instagram that Gucci just released something new. Pardon me, new. Then you're like, oh my gosh, guys, Gucci released something really cool, and it's actually not true, and it's like a teaser or something. Then that wouldn't be a lie. That would just be what you heard. But
It's
To
still
mislead
kind of a
somebody,
lie,
yeah.
but they don't intend
it's like
to.
half a lie, kind of.
Right,
Because
right.
if the other person knows it's not true, that's a full on lie. Because like if somebody's like,
So,
let's say somebody works for Gucci.
so how do you
And they're
know
like,
the
no.
difference between the truth and the lie, though?
Right. How do you know what the truth is?
What do you mean? Like, give me an example.
Right, how can you tell the difference between a truth and a lie?
How do you know
How
when
do you know
it's
something's true and how do you know something
versus
is
The Earth is flat.
That's a lie.
How?
Everybody
How
knows
can you prove
How
that?
do you know?
because people went to space and they took.
What if they just told you that?
Then why would they waste all those taxpayer dollars to shoot a rocket into space?
Because
What
I've
if
been
it's
on a
AI?
ship around the ocean and I've sailed.
Yeah, Christopher Columbus.
Not let's not
a
go to
moth-
Christopher Columbus, but like
so
people
if we
have sailed.
So
around
I'm not
it.
saying I'm not trying to diss you or anything, but if you're like implying this, but if people say that the Earth is flat because they think that the pictures
You know the Bible says the Earth is flat.
actually
That's one of the first. That's one of the first points of the What? That's one of the first.
The Bible? But the Bible's so true.
Oh man.
What do you mean?
Conundrum.
These.
Oh no, a
It's-
conundrum.
Ouch!
But that's the point in
I
dialogue
need
like
to eat
this.
my freaking granola bar.
Max might need a beer
So that-
Dude, if I was old enough to drink beer, I'd
This is the time for one.
this would be it. He's like,
This would be it.
This would be it. This would be my.
be. This would be. You all got drinks in your hands. I got a got a Luna lemon granola bar.
Well, good.
Sugar is also a drug.
Sugar is a drug. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love sugar.
It's not a terrible one, in my opinion.
Well,
In moderation.
Moderate, balancing act, right?
yeah.
Oh, hey, hold on.
True.
I want to talk more about this has-been thing.
No, I mean we need to get at. We need to finish the how do you tell
Okay,
the
but-
difference between the truth and the lies.
I'll say that after, but yeah. The truth is, I don't really know how else to explain it. Truth is the truth. I don't really know.
Is it
any
okay
other
not
way.
to know? Because I'm even thinking to myself.
Yeah, nobody.
Like,
How do I know
knows
the difference
answer.
between the truth and a lie?
I mean,
I don't.
You can like look up something, right? You can Google or like do investigative work, but how do you know that that's even the truth? It can just also be a made up story.
Unless
You have to
Like,
see it for yourself.
So I've
You're
always
not
thought.
guilty until
Or a
proven
story
dead.
told.
I've always thought like
Situation.
science. Science is truth. History is stories. Doesn't mean it's a lie, but like history is stories.
Oh wait,
Science,
no, that's not the
science
At least with
is
science.
fact. But
That's not
even
the right
science,
Has a story that affects
yeah,
the quantum experiments
Yeah.
prove that your beliefs affect
Yeah.
the outcome of the
Oh
experience.
my gosh,
Yeah.
I said the wrong. I
one
said the
second
wrong metaphor.
before I lose a thought. The biggest example for me is growing up our whole lives.
Yep.
Chlorophyll, borophyll, right? Like we were taught life has to have sunlight
Mm-hmm.
to create life. It was
Yeah.
like part of like the components.
Right.
And it's not until we get older and they get the technology to go down to the deep ocean, deep dark ocean, and they're like, oh my gosh, life is created off the ocean floor when there's
In the
no
dark.
sunlight.
Right.
So you're telling me like the way life is created, which is like pretty much the basic building block of science, like changed
Okay,
like
yo,
in our lifetime? So like
Right.
I'm still like science is still truth
And there's
in
still,
my
like, there's
mind,
still
but
kind of
it's
a
like
story,
it's truth
right?
until
Thing
you
is-
learn something else.
Exactly.
Or until you
Thing
figure
is-
something else out.
And
Thing
until
is-
some new information is presented
Yeah.
It's always
that
evolving.
evolves the original
Yes.
truth
Yeah.
the
or
thing is,
said truth at that time.
Yeah.
is that you don't got a flashlight in the womb. Also,
How, what do you mean? A
Right.
fact?
it's dark in the womb.
He's
and
saying
you
it's a
still
metaphor for life itself. Like y'all were talking about life forming
There's
on
no-
the dark ocean floor, but that's kind of how the life of a human works too. Like
Yeah,
it's
there's
dark.
no light in the womb,
There's no
so you
light.
kind of just grow up in darkness, and then you're exposed to the light, and you grow more.
Right. Facts.
Mm.
That was actually a good.
Unless it's
Because
you
you're
need
right, there's
sunlight to sustain life.
But
Life can
but
grow.
when you're
From the
but when you're-
outside
but when
vessel
you're
and
in
it's
the
in
womb,
the-
you're getting the sunlight
Sustain.
from your
Sustain.
mother's
Yeah.
reception of the sunlight.
Because that's how life could form, and then once you're
So,
out to
not-
sustain your living being.
Not to get too philosophical about like when life starts, because I know that's a big question
Oh,
that
yeah.
also comes into religion, but it's not a religious question. It's a philosophical question
Yeah.
about when
Yeah.
life really starts. Because
Yeah,
for me, it's like if life exists but it
It's
needs a
labeled.
host,
right.
when is it really its own
That's kind of
life?
like
If it, yeah, because if it can't actually live without its host,
Right.
like
right.
then is it an independent life form until it can exist independently? I don't know. You can edit
I gotta-
that one out too.
Yeah,
that's
Oh.
a good. It's a good.
That
question.
actually is a
That
drop in
is-
that I think about all the
Yeah.
time. That I feel like this is like such a big thing in
And you're not
society,
the
and
only one.
everyone like gets in such a stink about it. And I'm like, why can't everyone just like believe what they believe and support one another and not
Yeah.
having to
But I
like
think
try to
even
control
that
one
argument,
another?
that argument is a result of materialism in and of itself. Because if you see everything as alive, then like, if everything is alive,
Yeah.
and, like sometimes you need to sacrifice some things for the greater. You know, like when you're growing a plant, like you cut off the dead limbs. If you're not able to like provide for that limb, it might be better for the whole plant to cut it off.
And what's more
It
important?
sounds horrible to some people,
But it's,
Yeah.
but it's like
we do
just
it
the
every
fact
day
of
to
the matter.
things like plants and
Right.
other things.
Like how
That
the
is-
Romans, if there was somebody with a disability, they would kill them because they couldn't help in the progression of their empire.
Yeah. Actually,
Long live Sparta! Push them into a hole with lions.
That is what
That
they
happened
did.
a little bit in
That's what they did.
America with eugenics and
Yeah,
stuff
it's
like
still
that.
happening.
And in
Absolutely.
Virginia,
Still
actually,
happens.
like not that far away, in Stanton was like one of the big ones.
Mhm.
And he
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Eugenics facility?
Yeah, well, not just that they were practicing it there big time. Pinehurst or somehurst. It's right there
Always
at that
got a name
exit.
like that.
It's
So
right
it
at that
sounds about
exit.
right.
You see it looks spooky, and they have like haunted house stuff there or whatnot. But it's
Gates
like
and
right in the
gates
Frontier
and
Cultural Museum. Yeah,
Oh.
and there was a main doctor there back in the day, and he was a Nazi sympathizer, I think, as well.
Mhm.
And they were doing eugenics
Yeah.
there.
It's
And-
Human experimentation has been going on.
for
Yeah.
ages. And we talk about that some too, like for someone to just think that it's not happening now because they come out and say it's not is slippery slope, to say the least.
Mhm.
Because if they can, they probably
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because
if they
Wait.
can, they
Yeah.
Just like the whole AI thing, like it didn't just happen. They've been doing series of like experiments and like all the other
Well,
stuff
yeah,
prior
thinking
to.
of
Mhm. back since Dolly of stem cell
Nice.
research.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
so they
Something
did this.
we talk about
We
all the
talk
time.
about all
Yeah,
that.
because I'm like in the big controversy there too is right. Like stem cell research can also like really improve our lives, right?
Right.
Like
Yes.
we can like
G talk about all the time because my dad's neuropathy.
yeah, it's like oh, what about the
And
good of it? But then
Yeah.
what about the bad? And like
well, also
Creating
like,
super soldiers and
yes,
That's
ooh,
type of
I
thing.
see that. I like Super Soul. They're kind of cool.
yeah.
I like.
but if they can do
Well,
it and they were
and-
making Dolly
What if he
Parton
disagrees
things
with you?
happening.
About something religious.
well, the thing,
But
like
that's a
like
good point.
super soldiers, like what do you mean, like Iron Man or something, or like,
Yeah,
or like,
that's a decent.
Yeah, in a
that's a
sense.
decent
or like
analogy.
Actually,
what do you,
in the
what do you
Iron
mean,
Man
like?
movie, that was part of
Yeah.
what he was fighting too.
Because what do you mean, like Iron Man, like armor, or like Captain America, the super soldier?
Either one.
entities that are
Just a soup.
somewhat
a
that's
souped
super
up-
souped up,
Yeah, like that.
souped
That
up humans.
Yeah.
that one time where
Like the movie Limitless. I don't know if you've seen that or
I have not.
It's like these things. It's almost like they're telling stories of how this stuff works in a sense, especially when
stories.
stories and
Well, I had to think about human testing. That's also kind of relates to animal testing and like care for animals, because people, I don't know how people do this, but like the SS fanatical Nazis, they would like the main rule when they were killing Jews was treat them as if they were not human. But who would treat an animal like that?
Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, like,
and it happened.
and also animal testing on products, like products.
To get
like-
certain
like
endpoints.
shit, like-
Cosmetics.
Yeah,
Cosmetics.
like things that could.
Body wash.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
if this hairspray has 10 liters of venom in it, they just spray it on the dog and see what happens.
Exactly.
yeah.
So they don't have to spray it on themselves. That's like Laika, the dog that went to the first dog in space after Sputnik 1. The Russians sent Laika up, and unfortunately she came back dead. But then the Americans sent up Ham the chimpanzee, and he was fine.
You ever heard of the Tuskegee?
Tuskegee what?
Experience.
So
Yeah.
in the South, in the 20s or 30s, in the deep South in Alabama, they were basically injecting black people with syphilis just to see what would happen.
What is syphilis?
It's a disease. It's a
Awful,
it's a
awful
debilitating disease.
It's a rough one. It's a rough one, and they wanted to see how it would, what would happen.
What would happen? And,
What would happen?
and once they're infected,
Right.
then they can test the
Mhm.
medicines to cure it.
to
all.
cure it.
And
Yeah.
then if
Yeah.
they didn't,
So,
you know,
then what would
Pretty
happen?
sick, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I mean, I
Yeah.
don't want to sound crazy, but like, if I was in Jamestown in 1610, and I'm like not trying to say anything bad here, but like if I saw somebody with a different skin pigment than me, I would feel like they were like an outsider, like they're
Because
Yeah,
only
'cause you-
experience
they're
your
unpredictable.
own.
You haven't seen that before.
like the Indians,
That's-
They would, they had crazy beef with the colonists in Jamestown
So
because they
after a while, after they realized that they were violent, at first they were
Yeah.
like, "Yo, these are gods."
They were sharing the food.
Yeah.
like,
and
"Whoa, these people are coming
And
over on
just like
boats."
So
in
again, it
Blood on
depends
the
on
River.
what side of
Remember
it. What,
Blood on the River?
Yeah, I read a book called Blood on the River. It's super good by Eliza Carbone, and it's just, dude, Read it. It's better. It's just better like that. You know what I'm
And
saying?
it explains and shows how, like, this kid's saved and goes to the Indian village and adapts and becomes one of them, and it saves his life.
Well, no, that doesn't really. Does that happen?
Yeah, and they were one of the few that were spared when, like, Jamestown then got, like, hit.
Got crazy.
They were, like, gone, and he was, like,
And-
living with a...
He was already in there.
There was a baby. There was a little baby at the end of the book. These two people have a baby, and they name her Baby Virginia, named after the state that they're in, Virginia, that they named it. And this kid, I think his name is Samuel.
It is.
Samuel. He's kind of the main character, main focus, and he's been in Jamestown for like 3-5 years or something. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's moving to another camp, another settlement. I forgot what it's called, but we've been there. I think it's like the one that starts with an H. But
Enrico.
Henrico, yeah, Henricus or whatever.
Which, if you guys have been there, you
actually-
should go.
Bro,
Oh, have you gone
Yeah.
then? The reenactment?
Oh, no, I haven't done that. No.
Henrico's great.
It's good.
So they're going to Henrico or something like that, like one of those areas. And Samuel takes baby Virginia and brings her and steals her and runs away. And the mom runs in and he's shielding the baby, because the Indians are about to attack. That's why they're leaving. So he's shielding the baby just in the corner because he knows that mom's gonna come in and smack him. And she bursts open the door and she's like, "What is wrong with you?" She gets a stick and starts beating him. Beating Samuel for minutes at a time, and then takes him out. And then after I think a day or something, they're literally all packed up. They're about to set sail, and I think Samuel goes on a different ship than them, back to London or something, or somewhere else. And the mother is like, "I know why you did that. I thank you, and I'm sorry for going ham on you." Yeah, and all that good stuff.
So I've
Instinct and adrenaline. Somebody has your child, you're gonna beat the living snot out of them until they get it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the relationships between the natives and the civilized people, supposedly civilized,
Right.
they had to make laws to keep the colonists from leaving the colonies to join the tribes.
Actually.
Yeah, because once they started interacting, a lot of the colonists realized this is actually a way better way of life. So they had to make laws to where if you defected, then they could they had to punish it. They had to threaten punishment in order to scare the colonists from leaving. But in events where tribal members were prisoners of war or for whatever reason forced to live with the colonists for a while, then they for whatever reason gained their freedom and then were taught how to live civilized, they would every time 100% go back to being tribal.
Well, also,
That's interesting.
I think is
It makes sense.
I'm not saying
though.
this is
Yeah.
true.
It does.
I'm not
It
saying
makes sense,
It
especially
does.
with the way they lived off the land. You remember when we were there in Henrico, one of the good things about the reenactors and having all this stuff, they're literally explaining all the things that they did and had that didn't make any sense. You see these heavy, weird things and the stuff that but the natives had all these things that did make sense based on their environment.
Right.
And these are all the dumb things that we had. And these are the few things that we had
For
that we
exploring
wanted
new
that we betrayed,
Yeah.
which just showed that they knew what was going on and they could better sustain if they were living their lifestyle than the ones that they were trying to do. And that's why it kept failing too.
And also
right?
Yeah.
the fact that you said about better lifestyle for the natives. I'm not saying this is true. I'm just guessing that they had a religion because they worship, the sun god or whatever, and they, sacrifice. Like, they do sacrifices to
How do you know,
please
though?
the gods.
Because there's sacrifices in the Bible, right? I mean, like, they were going to
Sacrificial
sacrifice
lambs.
your own son, right? Which one was it? That was like Abraham, right? Or someone who's got his son. He's going to sacrifice his own son. Maybe his only
There's
son.
also borders.
His only son. I'm going to put you up on a pedestal. That'd be like me
To be
putting you
sacrificed.
up over a rock and getting ready to chop your head off because God's telling me to do it.
Yeah.
And I am like got the sword in my hand and I'm getting ready to chop my only son's head off because God's telling me, and God is more important than whatever you and I have, right?
It's
And then some angel, right? Is that how the story
I
goes
think
down?
so,
Stops me, like
Just hang on a second.
or no, like just check, or I'm trying to think of the word, like
double
switch
check.
out,
Yeah.
like whatever,
Yeah.
gotcha. Just making sure you were devout. Didn't really want you to kill your own kid, but like
Wow.
that was like a test,
Yeah.
test.
I mean,
You were gonna do it, right? So if you're
So,
gonna do it, that means you were like really devout.
One thing,
So like, and that's
one
in the
thing-
Bible,
that's
right?
what we said.
One thing Max just said that you alluded to earlier, the sun god. Okay?
Yeah, that's
so
it.
they call Jesus the son of God,
well,
right?
that's two different things.
Ooh, is it though?
It's interesting how
Because,
words and language.
Because the sun died from the point of view of the northern hemisphere. The sun reaches its lowest point in the sky on December 21st, the winter solstice,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
is at the lowest point for 3 days, 22nd, 23rd, 24th.
Mhm.
And on December 25th, the sun starts to go the opposite direction, signifying longer days. And so the sun is risen on December 25th.
So yeah, all the celestial time frame
Right.
completely aligns with the story that you're told in the Bible. And
Dude!
There's 12 disciples. That's the 12 constellations.
I love that when you tell him about it, he listens. I have told him this already.
Mom's like, what is that? I told you.
The 3 wise men are Orion's belt. There's stars in the
Yes.
sky that
No shot!
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to believe it, but it is coincidence.
Yeah.
I mean, is there
We
really
talk
such
about
a
coincidence. We talk about this
crazy.
coincidence thing all the time.
Yes.
That's nonsense,
Yes.
bro. Holy cow.
I talk about this all the time. He's never once retained it.
That's crazy. I never thought of it that way.
Keep going. Gee, give him all the info. Right? Like, it's working. It's working. Keep going.
Oh.
God, dude, I
Like, she
can't
give him
believe
all
I
the
just
info.
figured that out.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
But this is what life is. Life is a constant where you're at a certain point. You think like you have an understanding from your point, but it continues to evolve.
Yeah.
New information continues to come to you in different ways. You continue to take in things and comprehend things differently as you evolve and experience. And like, there's going to be a lot of those moments where it's like,
Yeah.
wait a second, that was
Where
the
your
story
mind
that I
blows.
heard, and that was what made
But
sense.
then you can take it to the next level of realizing, okay, so the literal sun is what they're calling Jesus, which is this divine intelligence.
Sun and sun.
But people still, even some people who connect all those dots, stop short of connecting that dot to maybe the literal sun is intelligent and is our savior, at least in the solar system. It's like what gives us
I mean,
life.
I was going to
Well,
say.
the sun is
literally.
in the center of the solar system.
Yeah, of the solar system.
yeah.
And
We're on
God,
the edge of the galaxy, supposedly, what they tell us. But
Yeah.
the point, I don't know if we're in a matrix or what. I'm not trying
That's
to
enough.
say the shape of the Earth is this or that. I'm just saying the sun is what provides life in a very literal. Like you don't have to be
Wait,
smart
but the sun
to
provides
just
life.
recognize that.
the sun could be
Literally.
intelligent like God, son of
Yeah,
God,
right.
then sun life, sun center of solar system, sun whatever. I think whatever you just said, I think I just repeated it, but I'm losing my mind right now.
That's what it said.
So the three wise men are actually three stars. It's called Orion's belt, and they point to where the sun rises on December 25th. So the three wise men followed the North Star, which is also right above the Southern Cross on December 25th. So if you follow the North Star, the three wise men point to the North Star, and on December 25th, that's right, from the point of view of the Northern Hemisphere, that is literally right above where the sun rises on the morning of December 25th. So.
Bro, I need a drink.
Get my guy a drink.
Pull him up one.
I need some apple juice.
Stat.
All right.
Apple juice on the
All
rocks.
right, but I do want to do this though, because we never finished. How do you tell the difference between truth and lies?
Oh, dude, I don't know that. I don't know.
See, I don't know that answer either.
Yeah, I
I
don't
wanna
think
hear from
anybody
these two
does.
then.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I mean, it's hard though, right? Because I mean, the truth could be a story. The truth could be
You're
a
killing me,
scientific
Smalls.
experiment in which you get a hypothesis and then you know what the answer is.
I don't know if there is an answer.
But I don't know.
You said something earlier though that hit with how it just makes so much sense. It starts with intention. It starts with intention.
And it starts with like a feeling.
I don't know if it's just a one definition thing to define it. We talked about a lot of different nuances of, like, think about what we were talking about. Okay, so somebody could have the intention to deliver the truth, but it's all they know. They think it's the truth, but maybe it's not. They had the intention of delivering the truth, but it was wrong.
Because they believe a lie.
Because they believe a lie.
So then how do you know?
that
were
it
they
was
tricked?
even a lie.
How do we discern between the truth and lies?
I don't think we can.
I
I think we have faith.
It's a
What's
concept.
the opposite of faith?
Reality?
No faith.
No faith?
Doubt.
Doubt?
Dude, stop
But
helping this Lord.
I don't know,
I'm learning too much.
but I don't.
Okay.
Too
So
much.
let's connect it.
I just don't know, how you can confirm, right? Because we're duped all the time.
Because a lot of it is that I talk about it all the time. Most of what we're even talking about, if it wasn't from an experience, it's only been from what we've been told. And what we're told can be distorted throughout time. It can be biased, or it could be weaponized to just completely lead you a different direction on purpose. But that's a whole other piece of it. So there's so many ways that what is true to you can still not even be a thing. I mean, you choose to believe it, but the whole creation of it for you to believe could come from just a control mechanism. It's because it's all about control.
Wait, I have two things. I have two things.
Yeah.
So, one is that, speaking of like Matrix and I guess control, if that was what you're meaning.
Yeah.
So let's say I got this from Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I know from a couple months ago that you told me that you don't trust him. You think he's Big Brother.
Listen.
I'm sorry. Big Brother, if you're watching, I'm sorry.
You ain't gotta apologize for me at all. There's a lot of things I don't like.
Democrats, I'm sorry, but you know what? I gotta. So
it's Oof, Neil.
Democrat / Big Brother. I'm sorry.
Oh, Neely.
That's
So this guy.
that's something's gonna make you cringe in the future.
When the realization of that hits,
there's one party. It's the corporate party.
Hey, guys.
When the
I know this.
Oh my god.
Well, I know this about truth. I'm gonna listen to this 20 years from now, and I'm gonna be screaming into a pillow.
Facts.
Right?
So Neil deGrasse Tyson, he said that if somebody makes, I think this is like a really good point though. If somebody makes a intelligent world, as in like, God makes Earth and all the humans and all this everything, they are bound to be intelligent enough to create another intelligent world.
Without a doubt, I agree with that.
with a snowball effect, and it's going to just keep going. So we could be one of those whatever aliens of
Different dimensions.
programs.
Realities, programs, whatever word you want to use.
Reality.
Because if somebody creates a little world of little people, then that would yes. So those little people would.
We are little people, aren't we?
Here we go.
We are next to the giants.
We are tiny little people.
We're the giants to the dwarves.
I've talked about this before. Like, think about how big things are to an ant.
Yeah.
An ant is. We're walking past an ant, and he sees the foot coming down. He's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
We're big to him. There's something that we're small to. Like
Yeah.
Well,
The power of 10.
being
You ever
up
seen
in the
that?
sky in a
10,
plane
10,
and looking
10,
down makes
10,
you realize
10,
how
10,
small
like
things really can
How
be.
small
Right?
things are.
Like, think about when
how
you look down out of the
big.
window of a plane, how small things get.
Oh, yeah.
When you're closer to the tree, it's like, wow, that tree's big. When you're up in a plane, you're like, man, everything's so small down there. Now it's big and it's spread out.
Yeah.
But it looks
Yeah.
so small. And that
also,
in itself is kind of a
So I think, yes, and I think about this all the time when it comes to like us, me, you, all of us. Look at us. Here we are.
Yeah.
What are we?
Of
We're just
course.
these tiny little things. Even in just a human perspective, how many humans are there?
We're
Right on this
the
world.
different.
well,
But in
you're
our
right,
mind,
I
like,
have
why are we important or why are we anything? Well, because we're ourselves.
I
Right?
have
I
a-
guess
I
we
have
have
a-
feelings and we have these relationships and connections with other people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy in our minds, I feel like, all the time, that
I
we
have
are part of something so big, but then also something so small.
Yeah, so
Simultaneously.
yeah.
I
And what does that all mean?
And
I have
How?
a theory.
I know what you mean too. It's like right now, look at where we are at in city, and then all the way across the world in Japan, there's somebody sitting in the same small
And
apartment.
then
There's a
zoom
part
out.
of this same interwebbed thing that
The collective conscious.
that collective conscious, regardless of what it is, where it all starts here. It all starts here. That makes all of this
Does
continue
it start
to work.
here, or is here more like a radio? Like
Or
everything
does it
is
start
conscious,
like
and it just
internal?
what's in here is more like a filter. It's like what we agree to is what we consider our personal consciousness, but consciousness itself embodies everybody's thoughts.
Dude,
Yeah,
how do
Well,
you,
there's something
how
that
do you
feels-
fit all your knowledge in multiple episodes?
This is a good way to describe. Thank you, because this is, as his friend, I try to process these things too. It's a philosophical mindset. It's always look. There's no just absolute solid yes or no to anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And especially in his
Dude,
mind.
in his
It's-
mind,
It's
Yes.
it's layers. It's
Yes.
The only constant is change.
yeah.
But I think that's
Yes.
the most realistic way of
Kind
thinking.
of, but kind
It maps onto
of.
reality. It actually
Because
fits
that-
our
yes.
experience.
Yes, very
And
true
like,
though.
why can't more people think that way? Or if we all thought that more way, would it be a more harmonious world that we live in?
And I don't even
Well,
think it's about thinking that way. It really gets back to what I've been trying to get at is how do we tell the difference between truth and lies? Or
this
what is that
episode
like?
should be called Truth and Lies.
Well,
That'd be
maybe.
tough.
Well,
Maybe that's not a bad plug. Max, we'll see.
Because we haven't really gotten anywhere with that. How do you
But
tell the difference?
How do you?
I think
How do you tell
I
the
think
How do we know you're not one of them?
Yeah, exactly.
Big brother.
Yeah, no.
How do you guys know that I'm not one?
How do we
So-
know?
How do we not know? Geez, our big brother just like faking it.
Yeah.
We've had an episode. We've
Yeah,
talked
how
about
do we
it.
did
know
have an
that
episode
you
about
haven't
that.
done it and you're gonna kidnap us and bring us to the Squid Game?
to the Squid Games?
Yeah.
Hey,
That's a whole other
that way too.
God dang, I
So
love
I
that show.
can't answer the
It did
question, but it ties into everything we've been talking about. I have to answer it with a story or like a parable.
Wait, he's about. Oh, okay.
So,
I can put your
Adam and Eve, you want to talk about the Bible? Adam and Eve has a different interpretation from me, right? So Adam and Eve represent all of humanity.
Huh?
And the tree of knowledge and the tree of life was their two choices.
Uh-huh.
And so
Knowledge is, I guess, more material.
So not knowledge. So the Prince of Lies, the snake in the story, is also known as the Prince of Lies. Had a little sneaky way of getting them to eat the tree from the tree of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Don't you want to be like God?"
Ooh, yeah.
If you want to be like God, you can eat from the tree of knowledge, and you can have the knowledge of good and evil, and you can be like God.
Even if you're atheist and you know what the concept of God is, you'd want to be him. Like, he's this all-powerful thing.
I don't know.
But the trick was saying,
I don't know how you could turn that down.
that you're not already like God. If you eat from the tree of life, you're already connected.
Yeah.
So like that's intuition. That's instinct.
Well,
that's
also,
knowing. That's
'cause-
knowing without knowing how you know. That's the tree of. That's eating from the tree of life. That's the metaphor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eating from the tree of knowledge is saying that my life is here to support what I believe. What I say knowledge is.
Yeah.
And
Wait.
even if your knowledge does map on to reality, it still falls short of just that intuition, like knowing without knowing how you know.
Huh.
So to connect that with how to tell the difference between truth and lies, right?
Mhm.
Doubt is a double-edged sword. Doubt is we doubted our own divinity. That's how we fell from humanity, the fall of humanity, right? Because we ate from the tree of knowledge.
Mhm.
But when we start doubting everything, we can return to the truth. So that's how you tell the difference between truth and lies.
What?
You literally
What?
doubt everything.
What?
Because if
What?
you doubt everything, only the truth survives. Because truth will survive your doubt. Truth is going to be the truth, whether you're skeptical of it or not.
Yeah.
But lies,
Jim, you always said that.
Lies disappear when you realize that I doubt it, and okay, now that I've doubted it, well, it actually has nothing to do with reality.
Yeah.
The only thing that was making it real was my belief.
What's your belief in it?
Right. But truth doesn't need your belief. Truth is enhanced by your belief.
Yeah.
Having faith in truth can give you a certain type of inner power, self-worth, confidence, beauty.
this stuff?
He said, "Oh my god."
I think it goes back, Max, to a question that I wanted to ask G when he first brought it up was your relationship with Toltec wisdom. Because I think that's really what this comes down to. And it's going to be interesting because eventually Max is probably going to look back at this or just hear us talking about it and actually dig into it a little bit or read into it. And it's something that's interesting. One thing that interests me with the Toltec piece, G, and what it means so much that he gave us all the books of that you felt represented like us. I thought that was so dope.
I gave LT the one that was a practical guide to inner peace. Yours was self-mastery, and Kenny's was personal freedom.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that you gave me self-mastery too, so that's that we could talk about that at another point. But that's
freedom first. But you're
America!
You gotta like explore the inner freedom. I mean, you still have a parent kind of like guiding you, you know, but like once you're 18, or not, 18, you're still gonna be guided a little bit, but the reins get a little looser, you know what I mean? And then at some point you are acting totally independent. So you have to like have a certain type of discernment to know how you want to act and behave in the world.
So
Toltec's not a bad place
through
to gather
these
those
questions of like truth or lie, how do you know? How do you know? And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like,
so
I don't.
What he
like
said,
thinking I don't know. But if you switch the question to like right or wrong, then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that I know, and I feel like should like go over any sort of like rule or culture or whatever.
You just feel it in your heart.
Yeah, like like when you think about people in the past, like, oh, well, they lived in the past and it's never time. I'm like, no, kicking a dog feels wrong. I don't care, right?
Yeah,
like there's certain things that either feel right or wrong, and they're innate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it feels like you're born with it, unless you're like a sociopath.
Yeah,
and like, even sociopaths are born with it, and they've been brainwashed or like something has happened, some traumatic happened to cut that off.
Right. And I do believe that we are genuinely born good and environment messes us up. I mean, if you like did the research on all the people, serial killer messed up, but all the people, the root of the problem is they were abused, they were traumatized, so they don't mentally develop in the same way, and then they go on. But
I don't believe human nature is flawed.
I don't think so either. I think we mess them up. People are messed up.
Systems.
And if we got to like the root of the problem, and we're allowed to like let children develop in like a healthier way. I mean, I know it's a complex problem, but that would solve more like on the end, you know?
Yep.
Because I do think we innately feel like what is right and what's wrong. Like, that doesn't feel good, that does feel good.
1000%.
When it comes to like truth and lies, it's like, how do I know what is truth and what is a lie? And I do love the solution, like question everything, which I feel like I've already kind of thought about that, but like
it was how it was also
that is
relayed in a sense.
complex,
But it's
right? Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
But
Philosophy.
It literally boils down to doubt everything.
Yeah. Question.
And the truth will survive your doubt, and then that experience alone has you recognize the power of your faith. Like, oh my God, I was living all these lies. That was what was holding me back. Or, you know, you don't even have to think about it as holding me back, but just
it could.
So how do you? So then there are still
most of
some
the time.
things that you always keep in that box of like unknown, no matter what, that you can never say is truth because you never really know. And so, like for me, a big one is anything after death, right? So I come from a mortician family.
Yeah.
My grandfather, my dad, my brother. That's all we do. I come from a mortician family. Been on a lot of dead bodies and a lot of death.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And my dad, I remember going off to college and learning about all different religions and feeling atheist and different. I'm like, but I have faith in, because I believe heaven's here on earth, and like I can't explain the magic around me. So like this is magic, right? Why are we waiting for this aftermath? But he's like, what do you want me to tell these people? Like
point.
when their loved ones, you know, have just passed, you want me to tell them that like heaven might not be real or hell, you know what I mean? Like, and so, and he's become more and more devout like over the years, and I've just like been around that a lot to make you question and think that like our existence now is so rooted in like this like fear and anxiety or whatever of like what happens if we die.
So my solution to that is exactly what we were talking about earlier at the coffee shop. It's like, I don't even think about the afterlife because like once you recognize that the only real time is now, then like right now is the afterlife.
Right.
Same!
Like
it's such
like,
a good point though, because what are we to even do
what really
with what we don't know or understand?
Yeah.
We could never know.
We could.
No.
We could not.
But we can by recognizing that this is the afterlife right now. We're in the afterlife right now. And that's the only way to know it.
It's such a good point, though. I mean, what else do you have? What else do you have? You can, and I like, look, there's a lot of, like with my grandmother and stuff, very religious, right? And there's a lot of the just the stories of all of that, the hell and all of that. And it's just, I don't know. It's an interesting concept to talk about, like you said, G.
So Tech Nine had a Christian mother and a Muslim stepfather. So religion was always like a real thing for him growing up. And in one of his songs, it's actually called Clusterfuck. In the intro, he says, I took everything that all the religions had to offer. I boiled it in my cauldron until all the bullshit boiled off and all that was left was love. And so I think that is like the Ziggy Marley.
You've always
like,
talked about
religion.
just, you come back to that.
Yeah.
It's all
hate
like
would destroy itself. So God is love. That's how you can tell whether it's God or not. It's like love is the frequency behind God, and fear is the frequency behind anything that's not God.
That's not good. Yeah.
That's not creative anyway. Because I guess God has its own. Satan is created by God, right? Even if it's just a mental construct.
Well, and I think the sooner you accept the word God is a synonym for so many other things,
reality itself.
the better off you are.
Yeah.
I think everyone like attaches the word God
Yes.
to like
God is a
monotheistic.
corrupted word.
This is this male
It's
figure.
funny that you
This
say
is
that.
this
Yeah,
thing,
because talking
and
about
then
the Toltecs,
you get like the ickies, and it's
So-
like, well, what if God is just nature? What if God is just every belief
the
system?
universe.
That's
What
how.
if like just
Yeah.
lose your connection
Yes.
with what
It's-
God
it
is,
is
and
kinda
it's all good.
Because-
God is love.
Right,
Yeah.
God is
Yeah.
love. And so it's funny that you say that because he was talking about how I've kind of like absorbed a lot of this wisdom or knowledge, whatever you want to call it, through Toltec tradition, with Toltec wisdom. And it's funny that you say that because Don Miguel Ruiz Sr., he talks about God a lot. He'll use the word God in his writing, but to him it's just love. You know, it is reality, it's the truth.
Yeah.
And so it's just another word to symbolize these things. But his son, Don Miguel Jr., says, I resist using the word love because it's become so corrupted. And I literally
Love or
replace
God?
it. Yeah, God. I resist using the word God because it has become so corrupted. And I literally replace it with the word love because it's literally exactly the same thing.
It's like how we had to replace woke with enlightened.
Semantics.
So
But it's
corrupted.
important.
Yeah.
And
Because
unfortunately,
connotations matter to other people.
language
Because it
is
does.
so
Yes.
important, and it kind of sucks.
And I say it all the time. We
You
got a
know,
word track. Like even myself,
down to
sometimes I got a
agreement.
word
It
track.
sucks, but the word that you say
Even
makes
language
everybody
itself is an
feel
agreement.
a certain way,
Of the
and
sound.
you're like, that
you
is
know?
not what I mean.
Yeah.
But the word that you use, unfortunately, can make everyone feel a certain way and think a certain way.
That's true.
So that like words
Yeah.
are important.
Yeah, because God is
Unfortunately.
a corrupted word in today's world. I
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
concede that point.
And I'm
Even
kind
though
of
I use
guilty
it
of it
sometimes.
a little bit. I'm kind of guilty of it. When my dad like says it all the time, and I know what he means, you know, and like, and I'm like, God, man, God, man.
God, man.
I would feel so much better if you stopped just saying like that all the time, and we just talk about like positives. Like we're agreeing on the same thing, but when you keep saying God, then
But
I
once
feel
it
like
has
you're pushing
that fear,
religion down my
Once
throat.
it has that fear frequency behind it.
the real
It's
It's a control.
but you see how it makes you feel because of how it's
technique at
used.
that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
So that
That's
symbol is
That's what
corrupt,
happens.
for sure.
That when people could sit back and go, you went to church every Sunday growing up and this, that, and the third, and it's like there's a lot that just it's interesting because you almost you feel like
What? A motherfucking nose hoe? A what?
was that?
What just happened?
Door.
Unhinged.
Oh my knee. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where I was going. What was I even saying?
Mm-hmm.
I lost thought.
Same.
What's that? Oh man. That is golden content right there. Like golden.
What was said? I didn't hear it.
He was holding his phone up. I guess it was a video or something. I don't know. Or maybe he was on the phone or something. But
On a phone call.
yeah, I think they were just on their camera.
Hoe.
Mr. Don't Like Cursing. you know what I said,
Yeah.
Kristen. I said, Mr. Don't Like Cursing.
Right.
Oh, right? Yeah. I've had
No,
my
that's
first
funny.
jar, and you don't even fill it.
You would be
No,
right.
listen.
Max, we gotta get your final thoughts, man, before we wrap it up, man.
Max!
Alright, I'll be right there.
All right.
Final thoughts. My one final thought goes back to the same question of like, do you all think that like religion and faith is like so faith is such a strong thing, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
people base their whole life on and feeling and it's free choice of
That's
like
like-
what your
that's like a
faith
martyr.
is about or what you feel.
Mhm.
And is it mainly because of like the afterlife? Like,
Oh yeah.
or is it mainly because of like your current life of like
I was thinking about that
doing
too.
right from wrong or whatever, you know, because like some people I feel like really believe that it's like this is what keeps me right and good in this world that I live in. If I am like going to the church and I'm doing the thing, even though I'm like you can still be a really great person without doing those things, but like is it because of
be a really terrible person
yes,
doing
and exactly.
That's
so
why you would do that.
is more of the motivation there because of like how you are in this world, in this life, at this time, or is it more of like
fear of the afterlife?
What happens to me when this is all gone? I need to be faithful because that's gonna carry me into the afterlife.
I'm scared of hell.
Now, I think it's a mix of both, but I think it's the fear of unknown.
What about
the
those
afterworld,
like religions of people who don't really have a choice, or like they feel like they don't have a choice to either like comply like with whatever religion that whatever like their cultural things are.
You that is
like
the religion.
you either do
One.
or die, essentially.
Yes.
So I mean, they could believe something totally different, but like they have to like comply to
appear as if they were following the
or
Bye. Yeah, and I mean in that situation, like, oh, I think of like foreign countries, whatever, but that's also like any organization you are in, even in America, of like, when you're in your community and your community is strong, and it could even be a Catholic Church or any of them,
whatever,
Mormon, whatever, you know, Christian. All of them, how fundamental or whatever, and you're in your one bubble, and it's like it's that or nothing. And if your belief is different, then you lose everything.
Like
right?
your whole
you lose
community
your
of people,
family, you lose your love, and people still do it. And
so I mean,
it's
I think it's
difficult.
I think
for
it's a
them.
little bit of both, right? Like if they're in that type of situation, then they have to like comply to be here because they don't want to lose everything that they have, their connections, the community of people. But then I mean, I feel like it could also be like my parents, like they're very Christian, they're very much heaven or hell, God, this and that. When my sister came out, they were like, "What the?" Like, no, like you're not going to go to heaven, like you're going to be disowned. And it's like, you can still be a great person and still be you. And it's just, you know, I think it's a combo.
A lot of it too, though, is just interpretation.
I know,
too.
I'm just looking.
You know, like look at how broadly and how layered you look at things. Somebody else can be very down to just the absolute basic understanding of just literally, you know, like the literal sense of whatever their interpretation
like
of these
literally
things
like
are.
black and white from like understanding points.
And
like,
it's a lot of that too, because it obviously is a more philosophical element to it than it just being I'm reading this thing and interpreting it to be just what I'm reading in a very basic, you know, simplest form in a sense, kind of like how you explained, almost explained. You know, it's and then you know, you start to put it. And some of it is also just like I said. There's a understanding of weaponizing some of this stuff too. When you know that a people can be so strongly rooted in something, one could take that and use that to weaponize it, to manipulate, to lead in the direction that you want it to lead, without it being authentically pure or true to truth, in a sense.
So when we talk about like Muslim cultures or whatever, or like when there was like terrorism, they're so awful. When in actuality, they're like nomadic people that are the most like welcoming and like loving.
But they hate the U.S. Is why they smash.
Yeah, fundamentalists, right? So
Al Qaeda is funded by the CIA.
That's true. And they had kite messages of all that stuff that was going on, and they knew a lot of it was going on, and they didn't stop it. Nope.
It's not like, and again, it's so interesting to me that it's literally out there. You know, no one's
documented.
It's documented.
It's not a debatable.
No, it's
they won't even argue it.
Exactly.
That's how you know.
Exactly, and it's funny how some of that stuff is still looked at as so polarizing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
what are we
I know. I
talking
read
about? It's
books
like-
on that too. And they have all the paperwork that you can read, all the official documentation in the back of the book that you can like look through.
Yeah.
And yet still it's
The official 9/11 Commission report doesn't even mention World Trade Center 7.
Yeah.
Which fell down without a plane being hit.
Yeah.
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 What World Trade Center?
7. So the Twin Towers, everybody knows about them.
Mhm.
Everybody knows about the Pentagon. Everybody
Yep.
knows about the field in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
But Building 7, World Trade Center Building 7 on the same, like the block over from the Twin Towers,
Mhm.
fell that afternoon. No plane hit it.
Oops.
Well, like, what are you implying? Like,
They blew it up. But they
it was
literally did not even
wait,
mention it.
they leveled it with explosives, like it
Like controlled demolition.
It was all controlled demolition.
It was
How does
all
a plane
controlled
fly
demolition.
in
It was-
super high
you can-
and the whole tower
All
falls
that
and
free
controlled?
fall speed.
It's never happened in the
No,
history
no.
of buildings
No.
ever.
In the
Not
wait,
only that,
what do you mean? What do you mean it falls free fall speed?
It falls within its own footprint, which has to be a controlled demolition.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a building's gonna like
It just
sway
comes
or
straight.
fly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and they're like the explanation, and this was like me not even researching anything. This was me just like common
Just a
sense.
common sense
Just
question.
being like, hold on, wait a minute, it's so high. Like, oh, but the heat from all that fuel weakened the beams like way down at
Those
the bottom,
beams,
and I'm thinking
those-
like,
those beams
that's
are-
not engineering or like how steel works. Like, I just don't understand how the top doesn't get okay, but then it's like demoed in its own footprint.
So it falls
Like that's a
onto
controlled
its-
demolition.
So
You
if
don't.
it was really just fire melting
Right.
the beams,
It
you
would-
expect it to
something would
fall
happen
all the way
up high,
over.
and there would be
Oh,
more
right
left
there.
on the
Straight down.
bottom.
It
Right.
just free
But
falls
explosive
straight
has
there.
to take out the
Yes.
core beams in order
Yes.
for it to just fall straight down.
And not only that,
Structurally,
Max, if you pay
it doesn't
attention
make
to
But
the
planes
video,
can't do that.
each floor, as it's
It was like-
as it's free falling, you
Yeah.
can see on
The little
each floor
pops.
all the little pops
Yep.
all the way down.
Which
Yep.
is explosives.
Yes,
Blowing out of
straight
the
down.
Yes.
Well, then how did the thousands of people inside the building not know?
That's where the
So
extra
this is
conspiracy
where we
comes
start.
in.
Yeah, this is where conspiracy
Nobody
like
was
five
involved.
oh three.
Why would they kill
starts to-
thousands of people?
They didn't.
That's
Then what
so
do they
here's-
do? They
so-
just get out secretly. What about all the bodies?
Most of there was only one business operating at that time.
There-
Because
at that
they were
day,
all
they
out
had
and it was
already
closed
had
The building was closed.
literally.
And the hospitals in the area were expecting thousands of patients to come in from injuries.
Same with a lot of other
Nothing.
events that have
No patients.
taken place.
They're all dead. Or-
No, just it was a theater.
Well,
They
what
said
about
people
the people?
died, but
What about the bodies that they
They
found?
have
Did
an
they find any bodies?
Did they?
they
Did
said
they?
they did.
Yeah, they had to carry out bodies to
Do you
bury them.
know?
That's
Well,
what
he
they
does.
said.
We do have an aunt. His aunt or
cousin.
as a cousin
Yeah,
did pass. It was on.
Was he
She-
in or around? Oh, she.
She was a cop.
She was a cop that went in,
That went in.
but she was gonna get an award too.
And she
for,
has
like,
a
being-
park named after her in New York.
Yeah, they named a park. It's like
So
a
I do
hero.
think there were some casualties from the rescue team.
There had to be,
of
and
course.
people.
But-
it really happened.
It really
Of
happened.
course.
Yes.
But I don't
It
think
went down.
there was nearly as many people in the building.
It
as they said.
has already been
I
documented
agree
that
with
that day that they had called for. Excuse me. Basically, there was something that was supposed to be going on in the building that day that prevented people from working there that day. It's a documented thing.
It's a bomb threat.
Huh?
No,
It wasn't a bomb threat. It was
Because
something.
there's the pops, little explosives on each floor.
No, well, something that was all a memo that had already been sent out prior to that day that would have people not coming into the office that
Like
day
it was
because
closed
of
for
remodeling or it was construction or something had been going on.
And I guess that the people that sent out that whatever notification would not tell anybody else, just the people that worked there, so they could act it out. And I'm not saying that.
Here's just a strange fact for y'all to chew on. In the week or two, within 14 days, basically end of August, early September. I can't remember the exact date, but a $4 billion or $400 million, some large insurance policy was taken out on the building that specifically included an airplane flying into the building.
Yeah.
Weird.
What?
Yeah.
Very strange, right?
Weird.
Yeah.
Coincidental?
Yeah.
Also, there was a video game that released in the year 2000. It was about future. It was about the future, and if you go to a certain spot on the map and you look out
I
into
heard about that.
you look out into the New York skyline, and there's no
Twin
towers.
There's no Twin Towers. Yeah.
And the
There
game
was
was
a lot
made
of
before.
predictive
The game was, it is so Max,
The
you
whole
know what?
Simpsons episode.
So
Yeah.
Max, that's a good point, and you'll experience that, and will continue to experience things like that throughout life. Predictive programming is a thing that
period.
is so mind blowing once you start, because you start to realize, like, wait a second, where have I seen that at before? How do I notice that? Or where have I seen that at? And you start to put together that, oh, they made a game about this, or a movie about this, or this was a skit in a SNL
SNL
piece,
or
or an animated cartoon like Family Guy or South Park
Simpsons.
or Simpsons is a big one.
Simpsons. They predicted.
Simpsons did it.
They
Simpsons did it.
They predicted the Apple Vision Pro, where everybody's walking around with those goggles.
Yeah.
But Max, do you
The
think that,
metaverse.
So, like,
do you
yeah.
think they're predicting it, or maybe they just already
Time
know
traveling.
something and they're telling the
Well,
story
when
to
that
information
episode
they
was-
already know?
Well, the thing is that Game Boy or Nintendo first made VR. They first made virtual reality. It was just this tripod with a goggle thing, and you put your head in. It was like a bunch of crazy flashing colors, and like it made people throw up because of how bad it was.
Yeah, at the time, I'm sure.
Yeah,
really
but
hard.
what if The Simpsons got an idea from that, or like early virtual reality?
So you're saying like they predicted what would happen?
Yeah, at the end.
I personally think that we give them too much credit for predicting things,
The Simpsons
because
versus them.
it's when I say them, I'm like, yeah. Well,
Yeah, they're not predicting.
They're-
They're making it happen.
they're-
They know it's going to happen. 'Cause they're
They
the ones
know
that
it's
are
going to
making it.
happen because of the theory of it was
It's not,
written.
it's not
Like, a lot of
predicting
this
it,
stuff
it's
is
just
already.
letting you know, hey, this is about to
This
happen.
is about to happen. Right. So it's their vessel. It becomes the powers that be vessel to get those messaging out there. The messaging sets the stage. So when that thing happens, that event or situation happens, we're thrown back by it, but not as thrown back by it. It's amazing of
Yeah,
what
it's like the subconscious kind of allows you to like soften the blow.
which is where a lot of what I call how when they what's the word I'm looking for? Like God, why is it escaping me right now? But basically, the docile nature, because if you're set up to kind of get it's a cause and effect for everything, right? So the effect of already being basically told or kind of softened to the blow, like you said, is to okay, like that's
It allows
That's
you
just
to be more accepting.
accepting of it,
Right,
in
right.
a sense,
I
yeah.
got you.
Mhm.
Now, I want to transition though.
Yeah, because that just goes.
So Max, you found out about the podcast, I guess, through your mom,
Well, I knew it existed. I never really listened to it.
but y'all listened to it on the way to Missouri.
Or you had gotten in the car one
What,
day
do you remember?
after
Do you
school or
remember any
something and heard
specific episodes or anything?
I remember when you guys first talked about me.
But that was after the trip to Missouri.
Yeah, I was on the way back.
Yeah,
On
yeah.
the way
So
back.
okay. But so, what were y'all listening? Which do you remember any of the episodes that you listened to?
Probably.
No.
No. Do you remember
Oh.
anything I said that stood out, or that even anybody said, my guest or me?
No, I actually don't.
No.
I really never listened to anything, but because my mom would just listen to it, I had my headphones in the backseat.
Ah, I got you. But no, you knew you had to have heard it because you were talking about you wanted to get on.
Neil, Grass.
Yeah, 'cause-
You've heard some things, of course.
Yeah, we talked, and I was like, "Y'all have a podcast? Oh, bet, let me get on." And then when
we
you
came
guys
over at night.
made the when you guys talked about me in the episode, I was like, "Oh, bet, I got a higher chance."
too, because I picked her from school and we
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remind him of.
Yeah,
Like when you got
and
in the car when
yes.
she was listening to it, isn't it?
Yes, you have listened to it
I
in
have,
the
but
car
I
when
can't
we've
recall.
been in there.
No, I get it.
can't
It's
recall.
it's a lot
I
of
can't
information
recall.
just
I
listening to it in the car.
No, that needs to go in your yes. So there has been times where you're listening to it and you like start a discussion, but you can't recall the exact time.
Yeah.
Or like
I can't
what
really
you're
recall
about.
anything that you guys said. I just know it exists, and I know I've listened to it. But
And some of the things that you heard at the time triggered it. Not triggered, but you connected
Made me
with
think.
it. You connected with it in certain instances, I guess.
Big time when you and him have talked. He
Yeah,
was
the
like,
time before.
I need to talk to that guy again.
yeah.
It's like
listen,
you
I
were
was saying the same thing about
listening.
Max, though.
It's
To
like
be
you
honest-
were
to be honest,
listening to him.
I kind of
and he
actually-
was having a platform to express
himself, his true, authentic
yes.
thoughts.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
And understanding
which
at
I
the
feel
time.
like I provide that, but I guess I don't.
No, you of course you do.
I'm
Like in the
trying
household.
to.
Yeah, I'm sure you do in the household.
And then even
Yeah.
Judge is like, I want to talk to him again. Just because you were, I think, allowing that freedom of
That's
like
what this is all about.
conversation.
That's what it's
and
all
what
about.
this is even about of like opening his eyes to all these different like ways of thinking and believing, and like it's
Emphasizing truth.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
It tells me, like, I tell my time, like, question everything, right? Like, don't answer a question, ask a question when someone asks you a question.
Yeah,
Ask a question back.
that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, we know nothing.
I say it all
Don't,
the time.
nothing is
I say
like,
it all the time.
yes.
I got one more question for Max because we got to the end.